fight's not over.
Stop the fight!
People.
Everybody, I come here for everybody. Kill everybody. I'm the champ. I'm the king. Kill everyone. Ah!
All right, guys, welcome back to Broke Bets. Lane here, giving you guys our picks for UFC 292. Got my guy Carson here with me.
Yes, sir. This card's looking pretty good.
Yeah, not too many fights. We'll get one more edition later in the week with Brad Cantona versus either Cody Gibson or Rico. I would anticipate me Cody Gibson, but you'll get that pick on our Instagram or just later in the week, maybe during the bets video when that's announced. So first fight, Kurt Holobaugh versus Austin Hubbard. Going with Austin Hubbard. I think Austin Hubbard never really should have been cut from the UFC in the first place. Had a really well-rounded game. He's always in these fights. He never was really known as much of a finisher. I'll take him by decision. I think he can just outstrike Kurt with footwork at range. And Kurt likes to really pressure people up against the fence and be on the front foot with power shots. And I think that Austin can just outpoint him here to a decision. What are you thinking?
I think Hubbard will be able to use those leg kicks and outpoint Holobaugh. I think in Holobaugh's, all of his recent wins, they're all by finish. His last 5 wins going back to 2016 are all by finish. So I think if Hubbard can avoid the big power punches, I think he can win this one.
Yeah, I haven't been watching much of the Tough season, to be honest. Seems like they just spoil the episodes before I can even watch them. And then I just kind of stop watching. But Holobaugh as well, his last opponent, the Mississippi or Alabama or Mississippi guy or whatever, one of them is from wherever. That dude kind of just stayed on the fence and literally did not know how to defend himself. And I think this Hubbard has better defense. So yeah, Austin Hubbard by decision. Okay, for the next fight, we have Andrea Lee versus Natalia Silva. Natalia Silva, been a real moneymaker here for us. Gonna still pick her in this situation. Just made such drastic improvements. If you watch her fight Maryna Rodrigues many years ago to now on the win streak. Her last opponent, Victoria Leonardo, not much of an opponent. Pretty easy setup fight, but the 2 fights prior to that versus Bleda and Yasmin, both really dominant grapplers in their game, and her just trying to extinguishing them pretty easily. And the striking department just shown to be very fast, powerful, and I think she holds the advantage on that speed. And I like Natalia Silva just to outpoint her here. She might try to go for that finish, but I think Andrea Lee can survive this one.
Yeah, I think, like you said, Lee's super tough. I don't know if Silva will be able to get a finish, though, but Silva should definitely have the speed advantage. I like her low kicks and body kicks. Andrea Lee has a really high guard, so I think that body kick will be there all day long, and then maybe she'll start dropping that hand, and then Silva could go up top. But Silva has super good footwork. She'll be working her way around the cage and going in and out, and I think she'll be piecing up Lee. Who will probably trying to take her down. But, Yasmin, Silva's stuff, like all 6 of Yasmin's takedowns, so.
Silva has really good hips for a chick fighter, like a lot of these chicks, as soon as the girls beat their hips on a takedown, they're done for, and Silva's really good at just not giving them that.
She's got really good balance, too.
And I really liked in Silva's last performance, she's ending all of her combinations with that left hook. She's putting a couple down the middle, ends with a kick or a left hook, and that's where she was just piecing up Leonardo. Andrea Lee, I think she's kind of underestimated in a lot of ways. I think she does a lot of things really well. She has pretty good straight punches, and that seems to do a lot of damage, like Vivian Arugio and her punches against Calvillo. The problem is with her at times is she can get stuck on her back because she wants to play jiu-jitsu too much. And there is a chance that Silva could just sit in her guard for a long time in this fight and wear out the minutes. Andrea Lee always seems to get a nosebleed. I think I said this the last time she fought. she seems to get a nosebleed in every fight as well, and bad for the judges' scorecards. Natalia Silva's got a 8-year age advantage on her, which is statistically proven to be a winning attribute, you could say. And I think that Silva just holds the advantages in all categories. And yeah, anything else you got here?
Yeah, I like her a lot. She's amazing.
She's cute. Natalia
In more
Silva.
ways than one.
Natalia Silva by decision. Okay, for the next fight, we have Maryna Moroz versus Karine Silva. I see this fight as a pick'em. We're gonna go with Karine Silva, the slightly younger fighter on her way up. And I think this fight will be pretty interesting because on the feet, Maryna Moroz will hold a lot of the boxing advantages. But Karine Silva stands pretty far at range in her striking. She likes to kick before punching, and Moroz will have to cut down that distance to let her boxing go. And then as well, I think that Karine Silva's got the better top game and a better double leg, single leg, the better takedowns, and I think that she could just get more control time on Maryna Moroz. And Maryna Moroz never been submitted. I think this one goes to decision. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, I think Moroz definitely has the advantage on the feet, but I think Silva has the advantage on the ground. They actually fought back in 2014, and Moroz submitted her. But I think Silva's a completely different fighter.
Even in that...
Yeah, like you said, Moroz has never been finished before, and all of Silva's wins are by finish. So something's got to give.
Right, you gotta give. I think you should leave reference. Anyway, Karine Silva, I feel like she's just gonna have better top control. She did pull a heel hook in her last fight, which she shouldn't do in a fight like this. It worked against a poor grappler, but in this fight, I just think that Karine Silva's pretty heavy on top. You've seen her double leg, she dips down pretty fast, and that's a pretty good skill that chick fighters typically don't have. And I saw Maryna Moroz get her hips beat way too often versus Carla Esparza. Now, Carla Esparza is a great wrestler, but it seemed like sometimes it was just like, boom, hands are behind the legs, takedown instantly. And to the judges, that'll look pretty good if Silva can secure like one takedown in each round. Moroz does work her way to the feet, but it is not a good look for those chick fighters. So, yeah, Karine Silva by decision. Okay, for the next fight, we have Gregory Rodrigues versus Denis Diuliulin. Taking RoboCop here, Gregory Rodrigues. Unfortunate last fight. He probably underestimated his opponent a little bit. And also the punch was just very flush on the chin. Diuliulin, that kickboxer style. He doesn't seem to have like lightning in his hands for those crazy spark knockouts. And that might be something that would be hard for him to get rid of Rodrigues. And I think Rodrigues, he's fast, threatening, powerful, and he's got the ground game. And Diuliulin's kind of shown that his ground game is his struggle. And RoboCop has that credentialed, like, BJJ background, and hopefully he uses it. We're going to go submission round 1 for RoboCop here. Hopefully he takes this fight to the ground, just because we've seen Diuliulin get controlled there multiple times before. But there's a chance that he might stand and bang with him.
Yeah, I mean, we'd love to see Rodrigues bring this to the mat, because he has a clear advantage there, but he falls in love with that striking, and he got caught in his last fight, so hopefully he learns and maybe brings this one to the ground. I mean, that's Diuliulin's weakness. You see in his last 3 fights, last 3 losses, they're all by submission. I see that as a clear path for Rodrigues. Yeah, like you said, Diuliulin doesn't really have that one-punch KO power, but of his wins, they're all by KO in the first or second round. So, yeah, I like Rodrigues here as well.
A lot of Diuliulin's...
He busted everyone's parlay, including ours last time, but
right.
I still think he comes through here.
Yeah, Diuliulin in his last fight, too, or second to last fight, Jamie Pickett, a lot of his damage was done to body kicks were body kicks on Jamie Pickett, and then just overloading Jamie Pickett, and Jamie Pickett just doesn't have the best striking, so it was pretty easy for him to do that. With Jun Park, he got taken down, and Jun Park made him look a fool on the ground, which, given Park is amazing on the ground, makes a lot of people look crazy bad. But he was on the high mount, had his knees up in his armpits, and then literally just moved him around like a child. Rodrigues is just so big, he really should use a disadvantage, and yeah. Gregory Rodrigues, submission or finish in round 1. Okay, for the next fight, we have Chris Weidman versus Brad Tavares. Gotta pick Brad Tavares here. Weidman, 39 years old, coming off of one of the worst injuries you can have, and just has been, fallen down a lot with his performances as time's gone on. And the UFC's changed a lot since he's been in the UFC. Like, you can't just really be an all grappler like he's been for a long time. Changed a lot since that Luke Rockhold fight. And I gotta take Brad Tavares here by decision. I think Tavares can just outstrike and stop the takedowns in this fight. It's probably most likely. And take this decision. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting here. All of Weidman's losses are by KO, but I mean, Tavares doesn't really have that finishing ability. I mean, all of his wins are pretty much by decision, most of them. So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, just coming off that injury for Weidman, 2-year layoff as well. Don't really like it for him at that age, especially at that age too, 39. I just think Tavares will be more well-rounded here, stop the takedowns and outpoint him.
Now, does Chris Weidman throw a leg kick in this fight? I'm curious. Because that one
not.
in the Uriah Hall fight, he did throw it as hard as he possibly could, and boom, over. And then, I watched the Omari Admedov fight again as well, and mostly it was a lot of control that he was getting on him. Both guys were exhausted. I mean, that's the thing with Weidman. If he gets you up on the fence, he's going to grind on you and try to wear down that gas tank. And Tavares probably will stop those takedowns, but Tavares, again, just doesn't do a whole lot of damage in fights. And he could just wait out this fight to a decision, and it could be close. It could be a split just because it's like a control time versus damage type deal. But yeah, it's hard to make that return off of one of the worst injuries. And I thought that Weidman would be done. Maybe he'll do 1 or 2 more fights. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, I'd expect the crowd to be pro Weidman here as well. I mean, he's a New York guy. This is in Boston. So.
Right. That's true. All right. Well, Brad Tavares by decision. Okay, for the next fight, we have Gerald Meerschaert versus Andrea Petroski. I have never really been high on either of these guys. I don't give them enough praise, probably, but I am going to pick Gerald Meerschaert, who I've probably shit on too much for being really slow. And mainly, I just think Andrea Petroski does not look that great in these performances. And not to mention getting some like UFC favoritism, getting Michael Gilmore and then Yao Zhang Hu. But then it got a little bit more challenging from there, but those are 2 easy starter fights. Gerald Meerschaert, though, I think he's going to be better on the feet. Andrea Petroski is shown on the feet. He only has a left overhand and like a left body kick, and he gets himself real tired from throwing these as hard as he can. And we just saw with GM3 in the Bruno Silva fight, fade his head out of range multiple times against Bruno Silva, get him all tired, and then get that knockdown to a submission. I'll let you take your thing on this before we state how the fight finishes.
Yeah, I mean, I like Meerschaert's finishing ability as the fight goes on as well here. I mean, you look at his finishes: third round, second round, first round, third round. So, I mean, he's winning a lot of these in the third round, and I mean, I like that ability as the fight goes on here for him. I think Petroski can get tired out here. Just with the scrambling exchanges, and then he could be shooting a bad takedown, and Meerschaert could catch him in the guillotine.
Yeah, Gerald looks really bad on the back foot in these fights. But like if you watch the fights where someone gets a little bit tired and then he goes in the front foot, like the Muradov fight, Muradov pushed him back the whole first round, and then the second round, Gerald started to push him back, and it was just like left hand landed, left hand landed, left hand landed. If he gets that on Petroski, it could be game over. And then to go along with it, this is a scary thing, and I can see why Petroski's a bigger favorite, because Gerald Meerschaert has 29% takedown defense, and a lot of that comes with him wanting to go to the ground. I'm curious what he'll do in this fight, but he pulls guillotines too much, and he lets himself go to his back, and Petroski could just ride out into a decision here, but Gerald does have a good guillotine still, and if Petroski leaves his neck out there, which he did multiple times versus Turman, it could lead to, a guillotine or other possible submissions that could come, and I'm just not that high on Andre Petroski. He carries way too much muscle for his size. He's got shorter arms for his height as well, and I don't know. I think his days are numbered. Obviously, Gerald Meerschaert's not the hardest fight that he could get, but down the road, he definitely will lose in devastating fashion, in my opinion. What else? You got anything else here?
I mean, Meerschaert has like a 4.5-inch reach advantage. I think that'll help him here as well.
True. Yeah, I think. I wanted to buy. I somewhat want to live. I want to bet Gerald somewhat. But I also think I'm going to live bet him after round 1, because Petroski will use a bunch of energy, get a takedown, and then Gerald's game on from there. So I would, his price tag right now is plus 220 or something. I would rather wait until he's plus 400 after round 1 possibly. So yeah. And he also can get finished in round 1. So I think if it goes past 1, he probably survives. Anyway, right. Gerald by submission, round 2. Okay, for the next fight, we have Neil Magny versus Ian Machado Garry. It feels like a pretty easy pick here, Neil Magny's been the gatekeeper. One of his biggest attributes is just his size, and he's never really been great at anything other than clinching people on the cage. And in this fight versus Garry, I think Garry's going to be good enough to get out of those situations and have enough damage to either warrant him to win a decision, but I think he's going to get a knockout in this fight. Neil Magny was rushing forward far too often against Phil Rowe with his chin out in the air, throwing punches like Juliana Pena, pretty much sprinting forward, throwing, I can't say that word on YouTube, idiot punches, we'll just say. And Ian Machado Garry, I think he's just going to time him. He's going to have more weapons in this fight. And I think Neil Magny just looks a lot older every fight. So, yeah. Garry KO.
Yeah, I think Garry's hand speed and footwork will be very eye-opening here as well. Magny, short notice. I mean, he's just going to want to clinch up against the cage like he always does. But Garry's he's got really good footwork. And he's got a good takedown defense as well, and I think he can work his way out of those tough positions and pick him apart on the feet. I like his leg kicks as well, so I like Garry a lot here.
Yeah, and Magny's way of getting takedowns typically is just body lock trips, and Garry, having another tall guy trying to do that's probably pretty tough for him here. Yeah. I'm curious. I don't know what the odds are set for this fight yet. I'm curious.
I think Garry's minus 300.
I gotta parlay that when I see that number, because I don't know. I would think Garry would be almost minus 500, to be honest. We'll see. Yeah. Ian Garry.
I mean, Gilbert was 400. I mean, it's probably
true. All right, Ian Garry KO round 2. Okay, for the next fight, we have Chito Vera versus Pedro Munhoz. Gotta do with Chito. Pedro Munhoz is like Rafael Dos Anjos in the way that they can always put on a competitive fight, but they've never been that top-tier fighter. And I think Chito Vera just carries a lot more threatening actions. For one, he's going to be a lot bigger in this fight. He's got a 5.5-inch reach advantage, height advantage, a power advantage, a chin advantage, a durability. I just think he carries a lot of weapons in this. And I think Pedro Munhoz has been pretty consistent over his career, pretty good in a lot of areas, but for the most part, he's kind of a pull a quick guillotine guy and load up on the big punches. And Chris Gutierrez, he beat him with some knockdowns there, but then Gutierrez went on to have no activity in the fight. And I think Cheeto will pour it on. He's got to realize these 3-round fights, he needs to speed it up. And his last fight against Corey Sandhagen, it didn't look fantastic because Corey shooting those takedowns and stuff, but I think now it looks better after Corey just dominated Rob Font, that Cheeto kind of got, destroyed in that fight. I don't want to say destroyed, but beaten. But yeah, I think Cheeto wins a decision here.
Well, it was a split decision, I must say.
Somehow.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cheeto would be a bigger favorite if this was a 5-round fight. I think with it being a 3-round fight makes it a little more interesting. He always tends to lose the first round with the feeling out process, and then usually wins the later rounds. So I think that could play out here as well. In the Munhoz O'Malley fight, you saw they were super hesitant to throw in that first round. I don't even think Munhoz threw a punch. I mean, he was just leg kicking each other, essentially. So maybe this first round will be closer if Pedro Munhoz isn't throwing any punches. So,
right.
Yeah, I just like Munhoz, Cheeto be throwing those leg kicks here as well. And Munhoz has never been finished before, so I don't think that changes here as well. So I like Cheeto by decision.
Yeah, I think Cheeto would need to do he just had to do one of his head kicks or something. I don't know. Pedro kind of stands in front of people though and goes high guard a lot of times. Cheeto's just got that iron chin. He's like a mythical fighter. He doesn't scratch on the face at all.
Or bleeds.
Yeah, Corey elbowed him on the ground for the entire first and second round of their fight, and then Cheeto got up and hit him once or twice, and Corey got cut open. It's doesn't make any sense. And I think also going to the judges' scorecards, it's just more likely that Cheeto can cut Pedro Munhoz and just look more threatening in this fight. Munhoz might just be circling a lot of the fight, so yeah.
Yeah, neither man has been finished before, so...
Right. Tough boys. Over 2.5. We got to see what that number looks like. Hopefully good.
It's probably chalky.
Anyway, Cheeto Vera by decision. Okay, for the women's strawweight championship, we have Zhang Weili versus Amanda Lemos. Very tough prediction. I think Zhang Weili is just too high of a favorite in this instance, and it's kind of drawing us to go towards Amanda Lemos in this fight. Amanda Lemos just has the Davidson Figueiredo ability at women's strawweight, where she has that power and a quick finish ability that can just knock people out. And a lot of people always make a judgment, I think, of that Jessica Andrade fight about her because she got caught in that standing triangle. I do think, though, if that fight would have kept on going, Jessica Andrade would have been knocked out at some point. Just because Amanda Lemos just looks so fast, and her punches are pretty punishing, and Zhang Weili can leave that chin in there sometimes, and she got knocked out in the first round by Rose, a head kick, and Amanda Lemos has a really fast guillotine, man, and it could be over real fast, and yeah, this is a tough one, though. What do you think?
Yeah, tough fight to call. I like both the finishing abilities from each of these women. I don't think it will go the full 25 minutes. Yeah, I mean, in the last fight for Zhang, she put tons of pressure on Carla, and Carla even hit her with a couple jabs and knocked her head back. So I kind of like Amanda Lemos to touch that chin. She just has incredible power, especially at this division here. So both these women have finishing ability. Could go either way, but yeah, I just think this line is too far apart, and I think Lemos could get it done early.
Lemos also stands very far at range and then cuts it down with one big strike, and girls have a really hard time to reacting to that, it seems like. Like, Maryna Rodrigues just was super rocked as well. A very experienced striker who's been in some good wars got, rocked real bad. I do think as this fight goes on, it's probably going to be Lemos by a first-round finish, or it's going to be round 2, round 3, round 4, round 5, Zhang grinding on her, probably incorporating wrestling as the fight goes on, and finding a submission later in the fight. But again, at the number that Amanda Lemos is at, this is probably a pick'em fight in my eyes. It'll be competitive, and I'm interested to see what will happen. Any more thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, just the finishing ability from both of these women. I just think this line should be way closer. If you like Lemos, it's probably first or second round, I'd imagine. If you like Weili, it's probably a little later, although she does have second round finish, first round finish against Andrea. So
right,
I don't know.
Okay, Amanda Lemos KO round 1. Okay, guys, for the main event, we have Aljamain Sterling versus Sean O'Malley. Guys, please drop a like, subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 1,000 subs, going to get there soon. Thank you for the support. With our pick, we will go with Aljamain Sterling. So sadly, I want Sean to win so bad, but I'm not like a Sean fanboy. But if you're cheering for Aljo, you probably got mental problems. Unless you hate Sean O'Malley, then it makes sense. But anyway, Aljo's ground game, his weight advantage, I think, in this fight, it's going to be really hard for Sean O'Malley to combat. And Sean versus Petr Yan had to use the fence a couple times to get up to his feet. And Aljo just has a lot better control of people's hips on the ground. If Aljo pushes up Sean against the cage, Aljo can either backpack from there. He can, go for a double leg and pull him down on the fence and just keep him stuck there. And as we saw with Sean in the Petr Yan fight, the grappling seemed to wear on him quite a bit as the fight went on. And Aljo will probably wear on Sean as the fight goes on if he does get all those takedowns. And I think Sterling can get a third round submission here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like either one of these guys here. And it feels like, I think I saw John Anik saying Sterling's like the best bantamweight of all time, but he gets the belt from a legal knee, wins the split decision, wins because Dillashaw goes into the fight with a separated shoulder, and then wins another split decision. I mean, he hasn't really, looked all that great.
He needs a championship level finish. And with a fighter that's not injured as well.
Yeah, but I think he could get that here. O'Malley has a 4-inch height advantage, but only a 1-inch reach advantage here. I think Sterling's size, weight advantage, you could say, will be a big factor here, wearing on him, especially in the grappling. You saw O'Malley in the last 3-round fight against Petr Yan. He looks gassed when they were grappling. So I really think Sterling will be able to take advantage of that and just wear out O'Malley. But if O'Malley wins, it's probably by early finish, I would say.
Right. I don't love Sean's personality, but you have to admit, if you're a fan, that his fight style is very entertaining, and Aljo just, so much of his fight style is just something that people can criticize a lot, where he goes into the turtle position and pretty much doesn't allow people to hit him. Or Henry, he did that 6-7 times where he just shoots a single and then sits on his knees and Henry doesn't know what to do. And Aljo just, he's just so big for this weight class. I think after this fight, he'll probably go up to 145 and possibly challenge Volk, depending on how all timelines work out. And Yeah, I don't know. Sean should have all of the striking advantages, although Aljo does seem to have a pretty good like body kick that he can use and some decent volume on the feet. But I'm really curious how Sean comes into this fight. If he's going to come out guns blazing and come out for a fast finish and put Sterling on the back foot, or if he's going to kind of just let Sterling dictate the fight. Because I think if Sterling dictates the fight, it's going to go straight to the fence, get stuck there. It'll last a round or two, and then Sterling will take over when Sean's getting tired.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the last fight for Sterling, he had really good volume against Henry, and I think that ultimately helped him get that decision. He was just very active on the feet. So, yeah.
He looked a lot bigger than Henry in that fight, too, which was like kind of crazy just to watch. Like, Henry's ability to break down the range, like clearly he kind of has the build for a 125er, and he's fighting practically a 145er, so it was a tough matchup for him.
Cejudo's head probably weighs about 40 pounds. So.
Right. But seems like Sean O'Malley does improve every single fight in some way. You know, he did have some decent moves still in that Petr Yan fight to get back up to his feet multiple times. If he can get back up to his feet, this fight will be very, very interesting. And, yeah. But for now, Aljamain Sterling, submission, round 3. And, bets will be coming to you guys on Thursday. Other than that, peace!
Peace.
Alright, guys, to recap our results from Luque versus Dos Anjos. Strange results, but I'll still take a winning card. We went 11 of 13 on our picks. One of those losses ended up being the Hakeem Dawodu decision, but only went positive for 0.12 units, which felt really shitty considering we got 11 fights right. Starting off, AJ Dobson fought okay, really hesitant. I couldn't believe how hesitant he was. He's not getting hit in the face once by Tafon, but he's so scared of being hit, it seems like. He worked his grappling well, though, and I don't know, he let his leg get chewed up so much. A weird performance, but ended up getting the W. Luque, also a very weird performance. Understandably in a way, but really just used his wrestling and clinch control time, and there's just a lot of stalling in the fight. I didn't really expect that from Luque, but either way, he showed that he can stop the grappling and use some of his own. Paid out as another straight bet. Parlays started off with Magny and Marshall. Magny, not a crazy pick there. I mean, JP Buys' chin is just done, just like Dawkis's. And Marshall's just ended up being a bad bet. You know, it's hard to... I wanted to bet against Dulgarian because he's coming in 5 wins, all first-round finishes against not very good fighters. He's definitely a good fighter, but he's definitely going to meet somebody, I think, down the line that will be able to out-wrestle him or make it at least to the second or third round where he's pretty tired. Down further, Boudet, McKinney, Fremd. I mean, Boudet came out hot. McKinney does what McKinney does, kill or be killed. And Fremd, really another Vicente Luque-like performance. They just had both a boring performance. A nice little 3-leg parlay cashes, but again, not too many special things going on there with that one. McGee, again, and then Blackshear felt like a pretty easy pick. Jose Johnson's gotten taken down a whole lot, and Damon is just a really tall guy too, so Jose Johnson can't just rely on how tall he is for not letting people hold him down, so Damon was able to use his height to also control Jose as well. And that one paid out pretty good. That was Carson's bet. Moving down in the props, really got screwed, I felt like, in the props. Luque is like famous for finishing fights, and again, just a big stall fest, and him and RDA just kind of get stuck on the fence the entire fight. I kind of expected him to work a little bit more, but yeah, again, it's all right. Got him with money line. We just neutralized the main event. I beat a lot of line movement on that one, though. Was really hoping for something special. Next, Dawodu by decision. The big robbery again. If this one would have happened, it would have been a 1.45 unit night. Still not great, but definitely better. I couldn't believe the decision when I heard it. I really thought that Cub Swanson lost rounds 1 and 2 pretty clearly. And Dawodu did get rocked a little bit at the end of round 2, but like, he didn't fall down. You know, he got touched and he's maybe a little bit rocked in the feet. He still hit Cub in that exchange, so I don't know if that was the deciding factor. That was kind of weird to me. I could not believe it was unanimous. That was crazy. And then moving down further, Josh Parisian and Martin Boudet to go over 1.5. I really expected this to happen, but Boudet came out and he wanted the finish. I think he just knew how bad Parisian was and was just going for it. And I understand why he did it, but at the same time, man, you got to let me get my money. He's done the decision in all of his UFC fights thus far, and I just kind of expected that. But again, he wanted that finish. And then we did the under 1.5 in the Chris Daukaus fight. Chris Daukaus' chin is just destroyed. I think he could stand a chance in a similar fight. I think he would have lost that fight 3 years ago or today, depending on his weight. But like, I think that his chin is also just destroyed now. You got hit by the biggest heavyweights, and now he got flatlined pretty good at the end of a straight punch, and just not a good look. I'm curious what will happen with him. Maybe go down to middleweight. I don't know. Anyway, -1 unit on that one. Could have really turned things around with it. And then finally, the long shots. Amarim KO round 1. Again, huge steal on this number. She could have just ground and pounded Ruiz out in the first round, but she kept on trying to submit her and set up the arm bars and stuff. If she just punched her in the face in round 1 on the ground, it would have been over. And she's gonna really struggle with higher level competition because she's pulling these weird sweeps, and it just doesn't all look too good. I don't think it's gonna last with a higher level competition, and she slows down a lot. As for the other long shot, 2 of those came short. Fremd, a lot of stalling, and Marshall falling short. But still a winning card. Hoping for better results. And again, guys, Bet's video will be out on Thursday. And hope you guys enjoy the video. Peace.
I know. It doesn't matter from the trenches. I'm built like this. The old doubted me said I couldn't do it. The old said I couldn't do it. Look at me now. Never